Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the His and Her Rewatch podcast, where we watch movies that he likes
and watch movies that she likes.
I'm the His, Caleb, and with me, as always, my fabulous wife, the Her, Megan. Megan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Yep, I wouldn't have anybody else do this with me.
Yeah, you would. Especially after this episode.
I am interested in seeing how this is going to go either way because it's going to be a fun one for multiple reasons. It's going to be a good one. We have a special guest that's coming on later on in the episode. We're going to see how this works. Hopefully it all works out right and that he, a buddy, I'm sure we've already... by the time this comes out, we would have advertised for it. But we are my buddy Tim, that I was originally going to do a podcast with his crazy life and children, and about to have another child that is not good timing. So, but we talked about it in our first episode. But he's going to join us on this episode with
Thank God. Because neither one of us, definitely not me, but I know you aren't either an expert on this topic.
Yeah.
I don't know if he call himself an expert, but he's definitely more than you are.
He's more familiar with the Mad Max franchise than I am.
Right.
And we'll get into all that because usually our episodes consist of at least one of us seeing the movie. And in this case, neither one of us had seen Mad Max Fury Road before.
Right.
Not only that, neither one of us had seen any of the Mad Max movies, the original 1979 or the two sequels in the 80s. But I thought it was going to be fun and interesting, and so here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Megan's going to be rolling her eyes a lot on this one, guys.
No, not rolling my eyes. Just confused.
Just sit with utter dismay. Disdain, maybe?
No.
But it's going to be a fun one. So we're our second episode of the new year. Mm-hmm. We have a puppy that's probably whining in the background. You could probably hear him at times.
No, he's a good boy.
He is a good boy. No, he's going to be a really good dog. He's pretty smart.
He's very smart, yeah.
Yeah, having a puppy is just like having a newborn or an infant, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, but sped up really quickly. So that's good.
Hopefully he's not too much of a distraction for us.
Yeah, no, he's a good dog, and he's probably going to go to sleep now in a second. He's been up for a while.
Yeah, he had a fun afternoon, fun evening, busy, so that's what we were hoping for. He usually sleeps a long time while we watch something on TV, or we watched a movie last night and he slept most of it.
Yeah.
So that was really
nice. He likes to cuddle, so
he does like to
being
cuddle.
alone is not his strong suit.
No, not yet.
But most puppies are that way, though.
Yeah, that's true. I know Barry had a hard time when he was a puppy like that, and they're so used to being with their brother and sisters.
Yeah.
And now they're separated. So we'll get into our stuff. I hope everyone is following us on our socials, our Facebook and Instagram, and I've actually done some TikTok videos now.
Yes. So if you're not following us on TikTok, make sure you follow us there as well. Yeah. Same username, right?
It's just His and Her Rewatch. His and Her Rewatch.
Yep. Just like Instagram.
Just spell it out, and trying to do some fun stuff on there. If it gets too difficult, I don't have a lot of time to spend on it, so I need ones that are quick and easy.
Yeah. Well, I think those are the most appealing anyways.
Yeah. I don't want
TikTok is the different beast.
It's a different beast. Yeah. And I try to share some of those videos that I do post on TikTok also on Reels on Instagram and Facebook. So if you prefer those platforms, you'll see it there as well. So hopefully you get involved or be active on there for us and respond to things, comment what you like and all that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. For you guys, this episode, we watched Mad Max Fury Road.
It's all here! 3,000 gallons of gasoline, just like you asked.
My name is Max.
You said a few vehicles in pursuit.
We count 3 war parties.
Yeah, well, I got unlucky.
My world is reduced to a single instinct. Survive. So I exist in this wasteland, hunted by scavengers.
What are you doing? Praying to who? Anyone that's listening? You're sitting on 2,000 horsepower of nitro-boosted war machine. You want to get through this?
You done this before?
Many times.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
So first of all, I have to ask,
Okay. Yeah.
why did you pick this movie?
Okay.
Because you said you hadn't seen it before.
I hadn't seen it before. All right. Well,
And
I
this
did.
is a newer movie.
That's
So-
true. That was part of it. I did
Okay.
want a newer movie. This movie
This
had.
just came out of left field because we already had talked about watching one movie. I was ready for that one, and then you said you threw a curveball. You said, "Let's watch this movie." I'm like, "What the heck is this?"
That's true.
Had
It's
no
true.
had no preconceived ideas whatsoever. Literally nothing.
So I just turned it on and you had no idea what it was.
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
No, I did. I on our last episode, I talked about that we were going to do Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Right.
I do want to do that one. I wasn't feeling it. I think I just picked something real quick just because it was because I needed to put something on there and
So
I
was this
hadn't
already
really
on
thought
your
about
list,
it.
or you just pulled this out of?
Well, I
thin air?
think you inspired me with Silver Linings Playbook.
Okay, this
that
is
it-
not
no, I just-
comparable.
No, not that part. No, the part that it was like a newer movie that I don't know. It was. I was trying to think of something around those years, this kind of newer, and it was. I mean, Mad Max. That's kind of one of the movies I've heard that was really good. A lot of people liked it and everything. Tim, who's coming on the podcast, I know that was one of his favorite movies of recent movies, at least.
So why hadn't you
And-
seen it before now? Just
Probably for the same reasons.
not the top of your list?
Well, there are several reasons. I'm not a big into post-apocalyptic type of movies.
Okay.
So that part doesn't really appeal to me. Also, I didn't think this was a movie that you would be interested in watching.
Okay, but you've watched other movies without me before. I mean, maybe not as of late, but
Yeah. I really don't sit and watch a lot of movies. I watch more TV shows without you, but not really movies.
I guess that's true.
Unless you're
yeah.
out of town or something, I might find if I think about it. But usually it's I just watch a couple episodes of a TV show. So Mad Max was one that's it's only 8 years old. It came out in 2015, or 9 years old now. It was just a lot of people like it. It got a lot of good reviews. It won a lot of awards. It's got good actors in it that I'm interested in, and so I was like, I just need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And so I was just looking through movies, like
Okay.
some popular movies, some well-received movies in the past recent years or whatever, and that one popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, I would try that one.
Okay.
And so, hey, it's our podcast, and we can do what we want to, right?
We make the rules.
We make the
right?
rules as we go. So even though I had never seen it, I thought this may be a movie that I like, and I know a lot of people do like it.
Okay.
So I was like, let's just do it. Why
Okay.
not? Why not
All
just
right.
change the rules, change it up?
Okay.
Change
Let's
things.
get crazy.
Let's get crazy.
All right.
So
So
that was kind of my whole thing.
So I know you talked about that it won a bunch of awards. You want to go over that real quick, or what's next on your agenda?
Yeah. So we'll go through some of this. Mad Max Fury Road had a budget of $154 to $181 million. And I'm assuming that's because it went over budget. So original versus, I don't know, that's a big range there, 154 to 181 million. So who knows why that's changed. There's something in the industry that how they calculate that. I don't know. But the box office, it made $380 million.
Nice.
So it's a good movie. It's a rated R, so that's I figure that's pretty good for a rated R movie.
Yeah.
And so it ranked 21st that year in the box office. All right, so I always like to do this. 2015, what are some of the movies that came out?
Man.
What are some of the movies?
2015.
2015. This would have been the year Jet was born.
Okay. Was this Trolls? No.
Trolls? I don't think Trolls was. No, it's not on the list. I don't think when Trolls came out.
I don't know. I never know.
So big
We were seeing a lot of movies this time.
It's a big movie for our
Some
family.
in our lives.
This is a big movie for our
Toy
family.
Story? That was my other guess.
Toy Story.
No.
No.
Frozen. Just
No,
gonna keep.
definitely not.
I don't know.
Okay,
this is all I
stop,
know
stop.
is
Kid
children's
movie.
movies.
All right, it is the number one movie is a very popular movie for Jet. His favorite?
Star Wars.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out.
Oh
that year.
yeah.
So
Changed his whole life.
yeah, that movie changed his life. When he was a year and a half years old, he watched that
Became
movie on
obsessed with
DVD. We were on vacation. He watched that movie on DVD and kept it rolling
Yes, on repeat. It
On
was
repeat
on
all
there
vacation. He
forever.
watched that movie like 3 times at least a day.
Yeah.
On vacation, and he's been a Star Wars fanatic since.
I know. I think that might have been not a great parenting decision.
maybe a good parent.
Maybe a
people
good
think
one.
it
Maybe a
isn't.
good one because he definitely is a funny kid.
Yeah.
As y'all heard in our Elf episode.
I know, right? The top 5 movies were Star Wars, Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Furious 7, Avengers: Age of Ultron was number 4, and Minions was number 5. And this was actually a really good year because even after that, Spectre, James Bond's movie, Spectre came out. In and Out was a good Pixar movie. Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2 came out that year.
Okay.
So Ant-Man. So yeah, I like that. That's a good year. There's a lot of good movies came out that year. And so Mad Max Fury Road. Just so you know, I just put it all in perspective for you because I tell you that it's a well-received movie and it's popular, but it's got an 8.1 rating on IMDb. It's got a 97% critic score and an 86% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw that.
So that's really high.
Yeah.
It's really good for this.
That is really good.
That is really good. The nominations, it won 6 awards and was nominated for another 4
Wow.
for Oscars. It got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, and it won for Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Sound Editing.
Okay.
So
I can see all that.
yeah, and that actually that's the movie that won the most awards that year.
Oh wow. Dang.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And we have writer and director George Mill. Is it George Mill? Did I write?
Oh, George Miller.
Miller, yeah. I
Yeah.
just totally didn't even type in his whole name. All right. So it's writer director
Yeah,
George
George Miller.
George Miller, right? He was the original creator of Mad Max.
Okay.
From 1979, the first one came out that starred Mel Gibson.
So are these movies?
This is a movie. This is a series. So it had
I didn't know if these were books, comic books, TV shows. I didn't know.
These were movies. It actually was after Mad Max Fury Road. Vertigo Comics created a series of comic books after that. So there was
Okay,
a
I
comic
thought it was
book
some
series
kind of
after
comic book or something. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I was on the the same page
that. Yeah,
as that.
but yeah. So it was interesting because and like we said, I am not a Mad Max. I don't know a lot about it, so I've done a little bit of research and all this. I'm kind of hitting surface on a lot of this. But George Miller was the original. He's directed the three movies that came before this, and then this movie. So in 1979, the first one he got. It was a very low budget movie. He really didn't like it too much because it was low budget. He had to compromise on a lot of stuff. But then the second movie, he had a lot bigger budget, and he got to do, and I think those are a lot more popular, like the second and third one installments, which like Mel Gibson was in all of those. But I thought it was funny because George Miller, he wrote and directed Happy Feet,
Okay.
Yeah. And he wrote and produced Babe, the 1995 movie Babe.
Okay.
So he has a range.
That's crazy.
He's on both ends. And he won an Oscar for Best Animation Film for Happy Feet.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it's pretty funny. I thought it was pretty
That
funny.
is funny.
Tom Hardy, he plays Max in this. He actually went to Mel Gibson, had lunch with him for Mel Gibson to give his approval for his support.
So Mel Gibson played Max.
Mel
and the
Gibson
other
played
ones.
Max.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he played Max, so he wanted Tom Hardy wanted him to approve of him playing, but Mad Max Fury Road has actually been a movie was in development for a long time. This was a vision of Miller for a long time, and I think back in the early 2000s, Mel Gibson was going to reprise his role in this, but it got shut down. They never did the movie. They did a lot of they tried to develop this movie several times, but so it didn't work out until 2015. Then actually was able to come out. So, but Tom Hardy, what do you know Tom Hardy, right? Have you seen him? What do you know him from?
I don't think I know him.
You and I'll go ahead and tell you. He was in Inception. But he also played Bane in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in and he plays Venom in the Venom franchise.
Yeah, I haven't seen those either.
Yeah, I've seen.
I mean, Tom Hardy's not very recognizable as Bane.
Yeah, you don't really look at him a little bit. And,
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where I think I was mostly introduced to Tom Hardy was in The Dark Knight Rises. At least he got in my radar
Yeah.
more. I've seen him in Inception and things like that, but didn't pay attention to him as an actor until then. And now he's like a big name in the nerd community.
Right. Yep.
Especially with this movie as well, with Mad Max. Charlize Theron. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one I knew in this movie that I knew exactly what her name was.
Yeah.
She's a very famous actress.
Yes, very famous actress. I love her. I mean, she's
well known.
She's just cool.
Yeah,
Like, she's
she
a
is
cool
cool.
woman. I mean, she's tough. She can play the pretty girl, and she can play the tough, rough, and she's good fighting skills and all that. She's done a lot of good stuff. She won an Oscar for Best Actress in a Leading Role in Monster, 2003 film. She had 2 other nominations actually for an Oscar. But I think I was introduced to her in 2003 with The Italian Job, and that's a good movie. We gotta do that movie. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Have I seen that movie?
The Italian Job.
I don't think
You
so.
haven't seen that one? We gotta do that one. It's like a heist movie,
I'm trying to figure out what I saw her in. I can't remember what it was.
and she's in Hancock.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. That's Hancock. Yes, I remember now. I was like, what is it that I saw her in?
Yeah, she's in that one. Then she was in
Yes.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yes, I remember that
With
too.
Chris
She was the Wicked
Hemsworth.
Queen.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah, and Snow White, and then she's been in the last. I guess it's the last 3.
She was in the Murder Mystery. I forgot about that.
Murder Mystery. What's
Murder
that one?
Mystery with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh
And
yeah,
she was in that. She was one of the
I
people on
forgot
the
about
boat.
that.
Yeah.
that's funny. And she's in actually the last. I think it was the last 3 Fast movies, like 7, 8, or maybe 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. I don't keep up with the Fast franchise since.
Oh,
since
Fast and Furious.
Fast and
I have no
Furious,
idea,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't. Not
Yeah,
since
she's
the
in a
early
lot of
ones.
movies that I don't particularly watch, like scary or heavy action movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but I mean, I still am aware of who she is.
Yeah,
She's
really
been
good.
around a long time.
Another big actor in here is Nicholas Holt. He plays Nux, or the War Boy,
Mm-hmm.
in that. They get stuck with him. I like him.
I kept trying to figure out who he was the whole time in
Really?
this movie. I was like, I know he looks familiar.
Yeah. And so I mean, I was introduced to him mostly from when he plays Beast in the X-Men First Class
Mm-hmm.
series, and then he played in that show on Hulu, The Great. Remember that, the Russian show?
Yes,
Queen?
yes. Okay, that was the other thing. I
He
was trying
was-
to figure out who I knew him from.
Yeah,
yes.
he was the king in that or whatever. So I don't really know him from much else. His name's been thrown around a lot with upcoming roles and casting rumors and things like that. From
Yeah,
some
he's
of
a
the
really
stuff.
good actor.
I like him. And then you got the other one was the guy who plays Immortan Joe, the main bad guy or main antagonist in this. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Keys Byrne. He passed away in 2020. But what I thought was funny was he played the villain Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max in 1979.
Okay.
So he's one of the original bad guys from the movie. So they came back and played again. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
Was there any other things you want to talk about? Any actors that you saw? I know.
Well, I also remember right away Zoe Kravitz on here.
Oh, yeah.
She's, Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
Yeah.
She's very recognizable face.
She is. She's very recognizable. And she actually plays Catwoman
Yes,
in
I
the
remember
new
her in
Batman
that, yeah.
series. Yeah, the other one of the other recognizable ones of the wives was Rosie. Was it Rosie Huntington Whitley? Is that how you say your name? But yeah, she was the one who played. We watched that recently with the boys, or all the kids, I guess it was. That she plays in the Transformers.
Transformers.
She
yes.
did the Transformers.
Yeah, the new Transformers. Yeah.
Or not their new one. It was the third one of the franchise.
Oh well, the newest to us.
Yeah, it was the most recent one we watched. So
Right.
Those are all new to us.
Yeah, that's true.
Or,
After the Megan Fox.
yeah, Megan Fox. She kind of replaced Megan
Yeah.
Fox in that series. That's correct. All right. So I'm going to try and get Tim on the phone. I'm going to go ahead and call Tim. We'll get into some of the other stuff.
So for those of people who don't know who Tim is one of Caleb's longest friends.
Yeah.
We met him at our old church, right?
Yeah, it was our old church. I'm trying to remember what year it was, but
Oh, before babies.
no, we had Ella. It was
Did we?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe Ella was
I think
before
Jet
Reed then.
Yeah, it was before Reed. I think Reed was. I think we were pregnant with Reed or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, we yeah,
He
me
moved.
and Tim.
He got another, or he's from Michigan, so he just moved back home, right? I guess he had a different job out
Yeah,
there.
he found a different job.
Yeah.
Met a wife up there. Got married. He's having kids. So Tim's been a good nerd buddy of mine. We've hit it off on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, y'all talk quite often. Yeah.
I keep in contact with him pretty well. So we're
All right, get him on the line, Caleb.
We'll try to get him on the line. Let's see. Timothy, what's happening?
I guess.
It's the evening at home.
Evening at home. Yeah, you got a sick wife and kids to take care of.
Yep, the kid is down, the wife's upstairs, so I got a moment.
Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Megan, she's setting up she's trying to get me set up with this. Say hey to Megan.
What's up, Tim?
How you doing?
So back on the podcast, we are FaceTiming, and so I'm trying to get the audio correct. I'm going to watch the oddities. I'm going to do a little test real quick, Tim. Talk a little bit.
It's good to see you. We talk on the phone a lot, usually when we're driving back from work. So it's good to actually see your face, because I think we mostly just talk on the phone.
This is true. We do. We were kind of trying to introduce you a little bit. I'm trying to remember what year we started becoming friends. And
Oh, man. I moved to South Carolina in, where were we at? 2007. I moved there in 2007 in the fall, and I started going to Grace Fellowship right away. Did you start going there, or did you start coming like a year or two later?
I think it might have been that was the year we got married, and it was probably about 2 years after that.
3, because
No,
Ella
it would
was
have been-
born,
Ella
so
was
it
born.
was
I don't know. It was probably
2011,
It
probably.
might have been 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
After that we you already had a good friend group with the other guys, and I kind of come in there with you guys. I know we hit it off pretty well because we have a lot of stuff in common.
Yes. Similar interests, similar likes, yes.
Yeah, we keep up with a lot of that stuff.
I remember watching, at that time, all Phase 1 right before Avengers dropped.
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, that takes me back.
It
Yeah.
was a marathon. Yes, like that takes me.
Yeah, we can do that again. For the listeners, we were talking about that we were nerding out, and we had a watch party at our house before the first Avengers movie came out, and that was 2012. So we watched all the movies, all the movies, the MCU movies leading up to the Avengers, and then we went and watched. I don't know what I was thinking the next day or something. We went and watched the movie at the theater. So
Yeah, I think it was probably like the next day or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a little movie marathon to refresh.
good times. Good times.
You big nerds.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know how much you can hear Megan, but she calls us big nerds.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
All right, we'll get into this movie. So we're we've been talking a little bit about, we introduced the movie Mad Max Fury Road. You really like this movie, correct?
I like a lot of things about it. There's definitely some things I don't like, but it's one of my faves.
It's one of your faves? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Megan, how do you feel about it?
Okay, well, in all fairness, it wasn't terrible. It was just really, really weird.
Oh, yeah.
Really weird. Especially when I didn't know anything going in on it. But, I mean, I can appreciate some good cinematography, good costuming, good makeup, good acting, which it had all of that. A lot of action.
A lot of action.
A lot of action.
Top to bottom, full action.
Like the whole movie was a car chase scene. That's the whole movie.
And that was the vision of
Okay, well, accomplished.
of the director when they make George Miller, was to make it just a car chase the whole time.
Well, that's what it was.
That's what he did. I guess he accomplished it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, what were you?
Road trip movie.
It's a road trip movie. That's true.
Road trip from hell.
Yeah, road trip from hell is making sense. Now you were we talked briefly because we did want to talk about the movie a little bit because of just so we're familiar with what we're going to be talking about, I guess. But you talked. What were you telling me about the how George Miller prepared for this movie?
So, like in the filmmaking process, it was very heavily storyboarded, which is kind of like a comic book, but like you lay out pictures of what you're going to do and then you film it and you shoot it. I'm not a filmmaker, but I love this stuff. But like they storyboarded it, so it would be very visual narrating. And then you spend a lot of time developing it. And I didn't fact check this, but like I think one of the storyboarders even got like a writer's credit for it or something.
Wow.
Just because it was such a visual storytelling movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and this movie has like such little dialogue, and it's all action. It's just, I mean, so that makes sense that you would have to storyboard this whole thing to figure out where you're going in this movie because there's not dialogue and stuff to tell you. I mean, I think I looked it up. Tom Hardy, where is it at? Okay, it says, counting the opening voiceover and discounting his grunts, that Max has exactly 52 lines in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
So that just shows you the lack of dialogue in this. And it's funny because Tom Hardy's played like Bane, he doesn't talk a lot. He's just all.
I don't know. He has some pretty good lines.
He probably had more as Bane, maybe.
Yeah.
Venom, like did he do the voice of Venom or?
Yeah, he
did both voices.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. That's a good question, but that's a lot of inner dialogue, and that movie's all.
Maybe he's bad with memorizing, so they don't give him very many lines.
Don't give him any lines, maybe. And was that way in that because we talked about that, you know, a little bit more about the original Mad Max movies. Is that similar to how the original Mad Max movies were? Did he have a lot of talking, or is it just because this one is so just action, a lot more action and a lot more car chasing? And do you remember any of that?
Maybe the first one, which I kind of am the least familiar with, remember the least, but definitely in the second and third movies, like Mel Gibson was talking a lot more. Like it was very noticeable that this Mad Max just didn't speak. Just didn't verbally communicate.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Tom doesn't do a lot of verbal communication, but he does do a fair bit of nonverbal communication. And like they say statistically, like 70% of communication is nonverbal. So he's still communicating, just not verbally and just not a lot.
It's funny because he does that. He did a lot in other movies, like as Venom. Like he moves around a lot, like just a lot of facial expressions and just the way he acts. He just acts a lot like that. Like that's just his. I guess that must be a lot more of his style of acting. Yeah, I liked him in this. He did a great job. What'd you think, Megan? How was Tom Hardy? The actors.
I agree. I thought he did a good job. Like you said, he didn't have a lot of dialogue, but his nonverbals were definitely all there for sure.
Who's your favorite actress
Me?
or actor? Yeah, who'd you like the most?
Charlize Theron for sure.
Yeah.
Hands down. She killed it.
Yeah, you agree, Tim?
Oh yeah, she stole the show from Mad Max.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that in a movie called Mad Max and Furiosa?
Right.
Furiosa, yeah.
And I think Charlie's, like, she'd been around for a while, but I feel like this movie and Snow White came out close to the same time, and it took her from, like, maybe like a D-lister to like an A-list actress. They really like launched her and put her a lot further.
Yeah, so she's been around and like doing different things, but I mean, I remember her first, like we talked about a minute ago, that from The Italian Job, when she was in The Italian Job. I think that was the first time I saw her. Megan didn't remember that movie. You remember that movie, Tim? The Italian Job?
Yeah. The Crew and Jason Statham was in it.
That's right.
Mark Wahlberg?
Maybe, yeah. I know. I think we need to do that one for the podcast. That's
Italian Job.
The Italian Job. That's a good
Sure.
one. That's sure. Why not?
Light action comedy fun movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's more my speed.
Yeah, I think she would like that. It's more of a heist movie. That's what I was saying. Now this is really a post-apocalyptic movie, and which I knew going into this, that's not my style of movie. I don't really. There's a lot of them like I Am Legend. I mean, I kind of like that one. It's good, but I don't really like I just don't like its post-apocalyptic style, like, and especially what are they? Not vampire. Like World War Z is kind of that way.
Zombies?
Zombie, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not following.
Sorry. I'm just like, a lot of the zombie movies are that way, that are like post-apocalyptic, and I that's not my style. And so I knew that going into this, but...
Well, I actually really like post-apocalyptic. Like, I like, I Am Legend, Hunger Games and kind of all that kind of stuff. But I think my biggest flaw with this was I didn't know what to expect, and I think I was shocked because I had no idea what it was.
You didn't know what it was. You didn't know. She didn't know what she didn't sell a trailer, a picture of it.
Nothing. I thought it was from a comic book.
I got over the shock factor, guys. Shock.
I think if I knew it was supposed to be apocalyptic, like I even asked Caleb, I'm like, are we on Earth? Are we in a different planet? Are we aliens? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that Megan's more like kind of similar what post-apocalyptic movie, like they call it a dystopian movie.
Dystopian, yeah.
And those are more like Hunger Games and Divergent, even like I guess The Matrix. Some of those are kind of the same, like Blade Runner, or those are kind of like, kind of blend together. They could go either way, but
yeah.
I know you like those movies like Hunger Games and Divergent and things, and you read some of those books. So
yeah, I actually like reading those kind of books too. I've read several this year, this past year.
Yeah, where you stand on all those, Tim?
I mean, like, I really like what was the one that got mentioned? I Am Legend.
Yeah,
I did like that. Like post-apocalyptic. It's not a big draw, but I did like that movie, I Am Legend. Yeah. And I think in the movie, it was based off the book Omega Man. They were zombies, but I think in the book they were vampires.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I like that one just because it was just a really good story. But I'm either way, neither here nor there. If it's a good story, great. If not,
yeah, it has to be a good story. I'll watch it and enjoy it. Are you a zombie fan?
Oh, I do. I like a good zombie movie. Like, I like World War Z and like what's the funny one?
Oh, with
the rules. All the rules.
Was it Emma Stone and
Zombieland?
Zombieland, yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I was like, is that what y'all talking about?
Yeah, I was trying to remember a guy's name that's in it. Woody Harrelson, that's it. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, they got a good zombie movie. There's not a lot of them, but if it's good, sure.
If it's good, yeah. I'm just not a zombie person at all. But Mad Max is pretty extreme on that spectrum, right? Like, it's pretty extreme. I mean, you look at the costuming and the cars. I mean, you think about how they had to build all these hot rods and cars, and everything is just unique. There's nothing like, they created everything special for the movie. And what was interesting I saw is that, this is an Australian movie. Is made from an Australian film company, and they made all the cars. They built all the cars and tested them or whatever, how they're going to do it, and they had to ship them to South Africa, where they filmed the movie. Oh, wow. In the desert out there, so in Africa. So I thought that was wild, which I guess that would probably cost a lot of money to do all that.
Probably
a large portion of their budget. But even the effects on this, like I think there's somewhere between like 80 and 90% of this movie is practical effects, and like there's very little CGI. There's like obviously a lot of the stunts and stuff. Take some stuff out. Charlize Theron's arm is obviously, she actually has 2 arms, so they CGI'd her arm off. Crazy, I know. Spoiler.
I totally believed it.
So,
Committed that role.
committed, yes, she committed. Yes, very much. So I mean, it's just insane. There's so many parts of here that just comical about it. That's hilarious. Like I kept laughing. Okay. I kept laughing every time they would show the war party coming. And then the guy in the front with the guitar playing the guitar.
It's my favorite person. Favorite person. He was like totally into it.
So hilarious. I mean, he's like playing the same thing, and actually this is like the guy was like a real rock star, a real musician. His name was Sean Hape, I think. Sean Hape. He's a guitarist in Australia, and he said in an interview that he really played it like that, and the guitar weighed 132 pounds.
Holy cow.
And it actually shoot flames. Like there was real flames that shot out of the guitar.
Oh my God, those were massive.
And he controlled it with his pedal.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this is insanity. The whole thing. All the cars.
Yeah, he was full of energy for sure.
Yeah. And I kept laughing. I laughed every time he came on screen. They would show him in the next part. It was so funny.
He was my favorite for sure.
Is your favorite?
Yeah, favorite. Should have won an award. Best supporting guitarist.
Best supporting guitarist, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the guitarist there, one of the most ridiculous parts of the movie. I would laugh, and it would like take me out of the movie.
It really did.
It was just so over the top.
It did. It was and all the speakers. There were like I don't know how many speakers, and I'm not sure all those were real. It was really being played, and it's just crazy to think about the way it was done.
Well, when it crashed, they all like came falling down. It was crazy. I love that he used it. Speaking of guitars, I love that he used it as a weapon at one point too. Mad Max.
Yeah, when Mad Max was on there, I'm glad they included that.
And then he gave it back to him.
So
Here you go.
Mad Max gets on. They're fighting, and then Mad Max either jumps off, and the guy he's like kind of blind or something, and then he just stops fighting Mad Max, starts guitaring, but then he starts rocking out harder. And the pick up. I'm like, this is crazy.
It really is. It's really comical at times about that. It's so funny. I love it. What were some of the standout moments for you, Megan? What were, besides the guitars? I hit that one. That was the easy one. I think I found the easy one.
I think a best standout moment for me was definitely the sandstorm.
Oh yes.
Like I just thought that was so well done, and like I could not stop watching it. Like I could have rewatched it over and over again, just like that one scene, just because first of all there was so much going on, but like
visually it was different too,
and it was just it was beautiful. Like it was crazy. Like I mean, especially them like getting up to it and about to drive into it. It was so massive. Like you really felt the
intensity.
Yeah, well, just how big it was. Like you really felt that as like a viewer, which I think is, really good directing.
It was supposed to do.
Yeah, what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then like when they were in the sandstorm, I just thought that was really cool. It looked really good.
Yeah, I thought the sandstorm was one of my favorite scenes too. Like you said, it's different. Obviously, that was CGI'd.
Yeah,
that was a CGI moment. The whole sequence with Max trying to not get Nux, was his name Nux, I think. Trying not to blow them up, and it's just insanity
really cool.
going on right then. It was crazy. How about you, Tim? What do you think about the sandstorm?
Oh, it was great. Like I don't think I took a breath until after the sandstorm was over. It was like the first time I watched, I was like white knuckling until the sandstorm ended. It was like the first time I could breathe.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it definitely had a crescendo with that sandstorm scene.
Yeah. And like you said, that was probably the first moment we had to breathe in that movie, because there's very few moments of action that you have a chance to breathe in this movie. Mm-hmm. And that's what the goal is, this movie. There were very few pause moments, but after the sandstorm, which was like you said, the crescendo, that was like the peak of that moment of just, that was a good scene. And then he wakes up in the sand. Like it was like, I don't know how
he laid in there.
How he laid in that. Oh, God, there's so much sand.
I know.
This whole movie is just sand. Like all the actors, like Tom Hardy's probably still getting sand out of his crevices.
Yeah.
There's so much sand. That would be annoying to film in, like that much sand.
Well, can you imagine all the sand in your equipment and everything too? Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, to protect the equipment
Yeah.
and stuff. That's true. Yeah, that's probably hard to film. Like you're talking about. That's true. I had that as one of my notes. Lots of sand.
Lots of sand.
Just lots of sand. The crazy costume. We could go on a while about the crazy costumes and the vehicles. But that truck, man. How about that truck? What was it? I don't know, what was it called? The truck. What do they refer to it as?
The rig?
The rig? Just the rig?
The War Machine?
The War Machine? Was it the War Machine?
What did they call? Oh, there was a name for it.
Yeah, there was a name. I don't remember.
The War Rig.
Huh?
The War Rig.
The War
yeah.
Rig. The War Rig. Maybe that was it. But that was just that was a good piece, I think, too. Was that all the vehicles? There's so many unique vehicles they made, like for that movie.
It took a lot of imagination because I loved how they they combined like the classic cars and like just jacked them up.
Yes.
That's what it looked like. Like just made them like all big. What do you call those monster trucks?
Monster trucks, yeah. Yeah, I think that monster truck that they used in that one scene was like it was like a 30s style vehicle. It was like a 1930s style vehicle.
It looked like a Chevy,
or something. And then, but yeah, there's so
Had
many
a couple
ones.
of dune buggies.
Yeah, and so many motorcycles and little. And I wish I remember what type of car he was driving. It was like an old Corvette or something.
Yeah.
Mad Max's vehicle. But like I said, it was so creative and so just and like the imagination. Like you're like, okay, imagine the craziest thing. If you can build it, we'll put it in the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
What you got? What you got, Tim? Anything?
So the vehicle I think that just took it over the top for me was the pole vehicles.
Oh yes.
Where they put guys on the poles. I'm like, what situation were they in where they're like, you know what we really need? We need like 5 vehicles that can swing it, put pole back and forth so we can grab people out. Like how many times did that happen? Until they're like, we need 8 of them.
Yeah.
So like that was the things I really don't like about the movie because like it's just so over the top out there. It just makes no sense. But it looks visually awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's what the creative part, because I mean, you think about this movie is 2 hours of being on the road and trying to capture vehicles and stuff. So, I mean, I guess you would have to get really creative on different ways and interesting ways to get on the vehicle or attack the vehicles and different things. So,
just put them on a pole and swing them over.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that one. Hey, and visually it looks great.
It looked great,
because
yeah.
you really had to zoom out to see a lot of action
really cool,
and there's a lot of extra movement in the film.
And it was successful. They successfully captured several people and almost killed people.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz's character, she got that's what she got taken out on that one.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It worked.
Yeah.
What were some of the movement things and different things that took y'all out of the movie? Because I know, Tim, you said there were things that you didn't like. Obviously, there's the pure insanity of it, and that Megan didn't like for this. And Megan was trying to understand what she was actually watching at times, and probably didn't help that you had no idea what you were about to watch.
No, it did not.
What were the things that you just hated, Megan?
Me, I don't know. I think a lot of it was any of the I feel like there were some parts that were kind of, well, I wouldn't say over sexualized, but there were some things that bothered me. It's just like the beginning with like the women doing the nursing and stuff, the milk thing.
The milk thing.
And I think, I didn't take me out of it. I think it just bothered me. And then like the whole bad guy, he was kind of disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, oh man, so the guy with the gold nose, he was
the gold. Which one was it?
It was one of the bosses that Mad Max ended up in the car with at the end. But he had like this gold nose on his face. I don't know.
Oh.
He really grossed me out too. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah.
I need the gross stuff. Like
there are some gross moments for sure.
It wasn't as gory. Like it could have been way worse. But I think it was the weirdness of like...
It's too weird. We went over the line a little too much sometimes.
Yeah, like the spray paint on the mouth was really bizarre and that creeped me out.
Yeah, it did. And you're like, and I guess they're getting a quick high before they, whatever that is, like
Valhalla.
Yeah, to try to go to Valhalla. And these guys are like, what do they call them, half-lives? I guess they don't live very long. And they use, that was just crazy. Then they use like Mad Max as a blood bag.
Yeah.
And which is just insane. Like, whoa, just the
I
thought
know.
of some of that stuff. It's like some of those I agree. And then like this movie was actually edited a PG-13 movie and a rated R version.
Oh.
And they test screened both of them, and it had better reception as an R movie. So they did the R movie.
Yeah, I feel like you just kind of have to go all the way with this one.
I mean, if you're doing
if
it,
you're gonna
like,
go there, just
yeah.
go all the way.
Yeah. What about Tim? You were nodding your head on a couple of those. Hang on a second.
Like, I totally agree with Megan on everything. Like I called it the milk farm, and they were harvesting milk. I'm like, that part was just really gross, and I definitely fast forward that.
The milk farm, yeah.
And the I think his name is the people eater, but the guy with no nose.
Oh yeah.
He was really gross, and
Yeah.
Which I think was the point.
Yes.
It was just.
She said that was the point. That was kind of probably the point to get the shock factor, right? I guess.
Yeah.
He had holes in his shirt with piercings.
Yes.
Hitting those piercings.
Yes. I remember that now. Yes. And he
Gross. So
touched
those are
them.
just like, take me out of the movie. It's gross. I'm like, I don't get it. It's weird.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is. There are definitely, and was that the I guess it was like the second boss. He was like
think
the
so.
other big guy that
The bullet farmer?
was that what? No. The one with they had to help him back in the truck. The big fat guy.
With the big,
that
the
the one
big
we're
stumpy
talking about?
legs.
Yeah, the big stumpy
Oh,
legs.
Yeah.
That's what
Is
he's
that
talking
you're
about. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because he had weird tumors on his leg.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so bad.
Megan's cringing now.
Ugh.
Like Bond villains to the extreme.
Yes.
Villain has a deformity. These are like, oh yeah, give him 10 deformities.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's supposed to represent what could happen in a nuclear fallout type of world. That, I mean, there's just the extreme moments of like tumors and these half-lives, and the other guy, what's the overlord's name? What was his name? Something Joe. But he had to put like a protective like shield on that it looked like it had some burns, looked like radiation burns or something. It was just gross, and it's just insanity.
I just couldn't figure out why some of them had oxygen things and most of them didn't. Like, I just couldn't figure out that part. Like
Oxygen things.
Yeah, like the main guy, his big old son had one. The little guy who was like the one who looked into the scopes, and then the guy with the gold nose and the lumpy feet, he had one too. So this was kind of weird. Like it was mostly like the high people, I guess, who had the nasal oxygen. I don't know.
I don't know if that was. It's probably never explained, and maybe there's a purpose, and maybe that was the.
I'm sure there was.
They represent like,
Status,
the
maybe,
status
yeah.
of it, and you have better oxygen, better stuff to breathe, but that's what it is. I was like going to do a drinking game of how many times we say weird in this episode. Weird. It's just weird. Today's word of the day is weird. Were there what are other things, Tim, that you stood out because you really like this movie, and I'm assuming it's a lot to do with just the action of it all. What were other things that you liked in it? Or maybe didn't like. You talked about that, but what are some of the things you really liked?
I like that it's intense and it's nonstop. Like, it just goes kind of like how Bond movies, I think they all kind of do a cold opening and they just get right into the action and let the story catch up. I'm a big fan of that, so I like to just get in and go. One of the things I don't like is it starts with a voiceover narration, which is usually bad filmmaking, like show don't tell. But he's just telling. But it actually, it kind of works to just set the stage and then they just run.
Yeah.
But what I did like is, like, it's intense. I remember the first time I saw it, like, I mentioned this already, but, like, it was like white-knuckling the chair, hard to breathe, until after the sandstorm scene. It was just like an intense movie. I was just engaged in the movie. So I really like that. It was intense and just go. Like, at the heart of the film, it's good versus evil. And good people fight the bad people, and good people make right choices, and they do what's good for the group and what's good for others. So, like, and then just some examples of that is, like, Max decides to help Furiosa and Morton Joe's wives.
Yeah, the wives, yeah.
And then like Max decides to hand the rifle to Furiosa and then help her shoot like that last rifle shot when they're kind of like getting out of the swamp. And then like they decide to go back, and then like that like helps everybody in that whole community. And then there's a couple other examples. Oh, if you notice, like when they do get back to the building, it was actually the young children. It was like the really young, small war boys that hit the levers to let them down so that they could come up. And then it was the other people that were like getting, like the elk farm people opened up the water to give water to everybody. So I really liked how good people made good choices to help people. So it was just really just good at the heart of the story. It is good versus evil, and good wins at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's funny in the movie because it's like you don't know if Max is going to make those decisions, right? Like because you're hoping that he's going to make the decision. You think you're like, okay, the movie is named after him, so he's got to do something good and heroic, right? Like, and it took like I don't know, a good third of the movie probably before you see him make that first real decision. To when he's met the girls, the wives and Fabio, what's her name? Fabulosa. Furiosa, yeah, Furiosa, Fabulosa. Sounds like a drink, Fabulosa. But it's like when you see him meet them for the first time, you're like, okay, just get together and work together and do good. Like, but it's not like right away, and it's really kind of like they make it more of an intense moment. And so you're like, okay, this is like, he's in survival mode because that's what he talks about in the beginning of the movie is like his whole purpose in living is survival. Like it shows some flashbacks and he's obviously failed at something before, but he's just trying to survive and get away to doing what he was doing before. And we don't know what that was, but just surviving, and that was his whole purpose in living was to survive. But then he found the purpose and he saw it, and so he was able to have those heroic moments. And then after that, it was like it got even better. And after that, as soon as he took that mask off, right?
Yeah.
And Tim sent me I didn't say this, Megan, earlier. He sent me a picture of Tom Hardy wearing in movies wearing 4 different masks.
Oh, facial masks.
Yeah, he's wearing this one. When he plays Venom. When he plays Bane, he's wearing a mask the whole movie. And I was trying to remember what the other one was for.
For Nolan movie where he's the pilot,
Dunkirk. Okay, yeah, he was in Dunkirk. He wore the pilot mask the whole time. So yeah, that's right. He was in Dunkirk. I forgot about that. That was really good.
The whole time.
He was in a mask the whole time. That's right. That's funny. But yeah, I agree. I like that. It was character development. Even with all the action that's going on, you have character development mostly between Tom Hardy or Max and Nux, the war boy. They have character development. So even with all that, there are actually good story and subplots that's going on. Like it is, like you said, it's a good versus evil. I feel like a good versus evil movie. There's no gray area. It's just looks weird.
Is there?
It's just weird.
It is very weird. It is. The more we talk about it, I'm like, wow, this is a weird movie.
Megan has made me very aware of how weird it is. And actually watching it with her, it's like I am consciously aware of it because I know that's how she's going to feel and what she's looking at the same time. She's like, oh my goodness. Oh, there's the dog.
So we were talking a little bit about character arcs. Both Max and Nux, the war boy.
Yeah.
So Max went from living for himself to doing what's only best for him, and his character arc changed to doing what's better for other people. And Nux, and if you look at their names, they're spelled very similar, M-A-X and N-U-X. They look very similar. They had very similar character arcs where he went from living for Immortan Joe and doing something to help him to his character arc shifted to pretty much giving up his life to stop the cause of Immortan Joe and to stop his son, and he gave his life to help the wives escape. So his character arc was pretty cool. He just went full circle.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, he was insane. And Nicholas Hoult, he killed it, man. He just did a great job with that guy. I'm like, like I don't, he's not a good guy in the beginning. I'm like, I just didn't realize, I didn't know if he was going to last the whole movie like he did. I'm like, he just was there the whole time. He just kept showing back up. You think he's dead like 4 times
I know.
in the
I was
movie.
so confused. I'm like, I thought he died. Is that the same one? Because they all look the same. So I couldn't tell if that was the same one or not.
Yeah.
They keep throwing him off the rig, and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think he'd survive the sandstorm first time. Then he got thrown off the rig, and then it's crazy. Did we talk about your favorite scene, Tim? What was your favorite? I think we're kind of skipping around a little bit.
It's actually the scene right after the sandstorm. Like, Max and Nux are just laying in the sand, and I love it because it's like my favorite thing about the film is the visual storytelling. Like, they don't do much verbally; they just show, don't tell.
Yeah.
So, like, the scene starts, Max is kind of unconscious. He wakes up. He's chained to the guy, so he's got to get himself unchained. He takes, like, the short-barreled shotgun to try and shoot Nux's arm off. The gun doesn't fire. And then the truck is stopped over in the distance, so he picks up Nux and starts running it. And then they don't have, like, some clumsy dialogue going, oh, we got to stop to clean out the filter. They don't say that. They just show Furiosa banging on the intake air filter and sand coming down. So that, like, they're showing you the problem of, she also's got a problem. She's got to get the war rig up and running. So that's his opportunity to go up there. And then he comes around the corner just pointing a gun at him. And then he's, like, holding the chain up. He doesn't say, hey, come unbolt me with the bolt cutters. He just holds and grunts and does communication. And, like, there's, like, all these problems, but they're not really talking. They're just nonverbal communicating, and they're showing problems, and they're showing how they solve the problems. And it's just really good storytelling with very few words. So I think that scene, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did like that scene when they met the wives and stuff, and how the whole like we talked about how he gets involved with them. Like we talked about how he starts to let them come along, but. Like the fight scene there, and I think that's probably one of the few fight scenes that didn't take place on a rig or in a car, but it's next to the rig, but I like that when he met them, and then he's having a fight and he thinks, and that's what he said. Nux is thinking that Max is with him on that, and Max is like, "I'll deal with you in a second."
And I was like, good thing he didn't shoot his arm off because he was alive.
He could care less, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I did like that. And that, like I said, that was in the few moments they're actually fighting off the rig. That was good. I like that. Was there anything else that you wanted to, do you have any other notes that you wanted to bring up? Any points that you wanted to get across before I let you go? I mean, this has been fun. I've enjoyed talking with the three of us. Megan has enjoyed you being here because she has not had to talk much about this movie
that I don't know anything about, so it's been great. I've learned a lot, though.
The one other thing I did like about the movie is like each of the wives had kind of like a moment to shine, or they just kind of did something really cool in the film.
Yeah.
The pregnant one, she like used Immortan's child to shield the whole team from Immortan shooting at them. And
I really like that moment.
Zoe's character was just kind of kick butt the whole time. She was like reloading ammo, helping them. She was just like all on board. Then I don't know all their names, but like the redhead one, she expressed so much kind of compassion and caring to Nux, who was like just literally trying to recapture them and take them back. And then like the kind of crazy one with like the really blonde hair. Mm-hmm. She kind of picked up the mantle from that one old lady to be kind of the new Johnny Appleseed.
Oh yeah,
like, planting seeds. And then the last one, I think it was like the long-haired dark girl. She like wanted to go back earlier, but then like in the last scene, she called out to Joe's son to get him away from Furiosa. So she kind of tricked him to distract him so Furiosa could go in for the kill.
Yeah. And that was
how like they weren't just like kind of hollow damsels in distress, but like they actually had character and they actually did something and they were good people.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were rooting for them the whole time. I mean, like you didn't know anything about them, but you knew, you understood their situation, and so you really did pull for them to get away from, Furiosa was doing really good work in a crazy, crazy world that we got drug into in this. But yeah, I agree. I like that. That's a good point. I didn't think about how much each of them did have a moment. I did really like that part, like you talked about, when Joe had that beat on, was it Furiosa or Max? And I can't remember who was sitting in the passenger seat at the time, but then she opens up the door and, you know, and shields them, which I thought I did think that was a really, really good moment, good choice there.
Yeah, and then like that scene is so cool because like she doesn't fight Morton Joe with her fist. She fights him. She outsmarts him. So she like fights him with her brain and just kind of like outsmarts him. I love that scene.
Yeah, because they're not going to. All the girls knew that they were not going to do. All of them were instructed not to do anything to the wives, to hurt them whatsoever, and so they took advantage of that at different times, which was really neat. So yeah, well, cool, man.
Yeah, cool. Oh, so final thought: worst character in the movie was the lady in the vault who could have shot Morton Joe, but
I know that movie would have been like 10 minutes long, man, and then like she waits till he grabs grabs it, like movie over. Good point.
Just pull the trigger.
That was a good point. That could have been a short movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Tim, for coming on the podcast. This is going to be a fun one to edit for sure because of all the background things with the dogs running around and probably some of the audio. But really appreciate you coming on and giving a little insight on this movie. It's been a blast.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me. Long time listener, first time caller.
I love it.
Yeah, we do have one of our loyal listeners, Tim. All right, Tim, we appreciate you. We appreciate you, buddy. Have a good night. Go take care of your family, man.
Bye, Tim.
Have a good night. Good night, guys.
Bye. Well, that was Tim for you. I hope all that comes across very well. I'm going to do my best to edit all that.
Yeah, he had some good points.
Yeah, I did. I'm glad.
He liked my points. So my points that I had, so they weren't empty points, empty thoughts.
No, you have good points. You saw the movie. I know you do good finding stuff. At the end of the day, you do find.
I do. See, that's what I told you. I do my best winging it. You know, all the notes I had written down. I wrote Charlize Theron, and I wrote sand scene. That's it. I don't like to tell you that because you freak out on me.
I know, I do. I'm like, are you prepared yet? Have you prepared yet?
Because Caleb goes and he does like all these notes, and I mean, you've been preparing for like 3 days. I feel like.
No, I only prepared one day.
Oh, just all day.
Just all day. Well, it was a rainy, nasty
Plus,
day.
you weren't really familiar with the film because it was your first time watching it too.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it.
I mean, but one of us has got to be prepared, so we don't both have to be prepared.
Yeah, and Tim was that he filled in a lot of blanks.
Yeah,
but we appreciate that. So thanks, Tim.
So ratings.
1
out of 5. That's 1 out of 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 1 out of 5.
What's your rating?
Okay, so we talked about this because this is my first time seeing it, so I didn't want to.
Well, I can still rate it.
Yeah, you can rate it, but I guess I could rate it too. This is really hard because I think like this is just a weird, off the wall, not my type of movie. The action was phenomenal. The cinematography was phenomenal. Even though all the costumes, a lot of them freaked us out. It was really weird at times. It was top notch for sure. That's why it got an award. Some of the crazy stuff that I heard making this movie and what it took. I mean, it's just crazy this movie exists. And
it is true.
Yeah. And then I know it's so funny. And I just want to mention this because I don't even know who the director was, but this movie was shown at, I think it was like South by Southwest or whatever, that film.
Oh, really? Okay.
The film thing, and the film festival. And there was a director, and I can't remember his name. I didn't even write it down but I just thought it was interesting thinking about it. But he went up to him after he watched this. He went up to the director, and he was like, "How did you film this movie? Like,
what did you come up with?
How did you film it?" Like, he's like, he's just impressed by how this movie was actually done, and like to be able to do this, like, everything's moving the whole time. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
My rating wise, I think it's it's not a movie I want to rewatch. At least not anytime soon. If I saw it on, I would watch it because it was something I was familiar with. And I don't have to like pay attention a lot to it because I mean it's just you really don't have, like once you know the movie, like you can just watch a lot of the action, just like it's just whatever. I would probably give it a 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah, close to a 4, but it's probably 3.5.
Higher than Clueless.
Yeah, that's what you were. That's what you've been waiting on.
No, I don't remember. What did you give Clueless? A 2, I think.
No,
That was Pretty Woman. I don't remember. You were pretty hard on those at the beginning.
Pretty Woman, I gave it. We both gave him like mid-level because we were trying to make a baseline. I think both our first moves are 2.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably 3.5. I don't know.
Okay.
What about you?
So I'm gonna give it a point for creativity.
1 point for creativity.
A point for cinematography.
Okay. So
a point for acting. But I gotta subtract a half a point for the weirdness. So I'll give it a 2.5.
2.5. Hey, it's like 2.5 points more than I thought you were gonna give it.
Well, I can't give it a 0. I mean, just the cinematography alone is fantastic. Like you said, like if another director is coming to a director and asking them, how in the heck did you film this? Like, you just gotta think.
It's impressing multiple, like not just the audience, but critics and other directors.
I mean, and plus, like so many
filmmakers.
people do like this film. Like you said, Rotten Tomatoes just alone. Like, and I've read reviews and like everybody kept saying how fantastic it was, and it's just not my kind of movie.
No, I didn't expect
completely. Like, I like a good action movie, but this was action on steroids with like a little bit of shrooms. Like that's my review.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy town, but I mean, it was like kind of like you passing a wreck. And you can't look away.
You can't look away.
You can't
That's
look
true.
away. And that's kind of how I felt like the whole time. Like I wanted to look away, but like my eyes kept being drawn to it. But and I just like for the whole most of the movie, I was so lost and confused.
Yeah.
But I did catch on.
I think
And like the whole plot, like, and that was one thing they did talk about. Like some of the reviews I read was that, like they said, the plot was a little. You know, it was not a complex plot. Like,
no.
That alone was just, it was not. It was a bad guy, they're running away from him, then they defeated him. That's pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point. I think the point of it was just the creativity, it's like,
action,
how far can we
wall-to-wall
push this envelope, is what I felt
wall-to-wall action.
Yeah.
And look insane.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you're a Motorhead, I mean, you gotta love
for
this.
sure.
If you're a Motorhead,
I think they would love that,
seeing all the different types of cars.
I mean, it's definitely a guys
Yeah.
film. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I would not rewatch this ever. And I kind of wish I didn't.
I get it.
But I still give it a 2.5. Okay?
I know. I was like, that's impressive.
I mean, you can't. You just can't not. Like kind of like when you're talking about, you know, some of the Christmas movies we watch. You know, it's just you got to give it credit. You can't just completely smash it because it's not your own type of movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a comedy. It's not a chick flick. I didn't feel butterflies or I wasn't teary eyed. You know, but and I did like the way it ended. Like it ended well. Like it ended a happy ending. Everyone, you know, the main characters lived. You know,
They didn't just get away.
right.
They're like, okay, now we're far away from it. It was kind of neat how it did come back and take over, and all the people that were under this warlord was like freed basically,
yeah.
or
So it
taken
came to a
care
good
of.
conclusion. I felt like it resolved it. It didn't leave you hanging, which I hate. And
a little extra.
Yeah, and it ended
resolved
nicely.
with a little extra.
Yeah,
a little nicer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It ended like, you know, because it could have, especially the way it was going, it could have ended terribly.
Yeah.
I was expecting like, okay, this is already so weird. I bet everyone just like dies from like a meteor crash or something. I don't know. Like it was just so weird.
Well, they found a nuclear bomb that didn't blow up, and then they killed everybody.
Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
This was a good episode. I'm glad Tim got to come on.
I'm glad he got to come on. He was ecstatic about coming on it because we talked about it this morning, and you were like, I was talking about Tim, how I knew he liked the movie, and you said we should have Tim on this podcast, and I said, And I texted him. I said, Vega said you should be on here. He said, oh, man, I would love to. And so he worked out that he was able to jump on tonight. And he said he watched the movie in pieces on his phone all day.
I was wondering if he had watched it because it seemed like he did.
Yeah.
Because it was like kind of fresh on his
Yeah,
mind.
he did. That's what I told him because I talked to him on the phone not too long before we started the podcast. And that's what he said. I said, man, I wish you could have given you a little more advance notice. And he said I had been watching it in pieces on my phone throughout the day. So that was cool. It was a good episode. I know you were scared about this one to get on here about this one. You weren't
Not scared. I just
you
know
weren't
what I was gonna
motivated.
talk about.
You weren't motivated for this one.
No.
I do have I have a text from Tim. He had one final thought.
Okay.
He says, one last point. The bolt cutters was the true hero of the movie. The bolt cutters freed the wives. The bolt cutters unchained Max. And the bolt cutters freed the war rig. Cutters are the unsung. That's a good point.
It did kind of get passed on to, and it never got broken.
Yeah, no, they lasted the whole time. That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. A couple other points, but we won't get into it. I think we've passed a lot of that. It was a lot of interesting stuff that I found about this movie that was fun to look up. Just and a movie that's not as interesting to me as normal movies. Other movies are, and other movies that you'll see us watch and review. So
yeah, definitely won't be going down this path. I hope he might be finding a new co-host. I don't think I could
like
watch
I said, these
another one.
post-apocalyptic movies, like you're not gonna find any zombie movies on my list. There's very few. I mean, maybe like a Terminator or something, but not this. Even Terminator isn't my cup of tea, but I do respect it and like this movie. But it's funny. It's all personal preferences. But hopefully people like this. Let's talk about it. There's a lot of people do like this movie. So anyways, did you get a chance to look over the movies? Are you going to wait? And so you weren't really sure about the next movie. Do you want to, I mean, because I already messed up our whole waiting.
Yeah, you changed the rules now.
I changed the rules that you don't have to. And so if you want to preview, if you want to, you can. What do you got? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I kind of have a couple. I really want to do one you hadn't seen before. And I think most of the ones on my list you've actually seen at least a couple times, or at least once.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably been a long time since you've seen it.
And that was like Silver Linings Playbook. I'd seen it before, but
yeah,
once. I really enjoyed it and glad we got to watch it. I was all about it. So
yeah. I think.
Okay, you got one. Okay.
Okay, so I feel like the 1990s are like my favorite genre of girl movies. Like there's so many. There's
a lot of movies, good girl movies. There's a lot of guy movies I really like from the 90s as well that I like to go back to. There's a lot of nostalgia for us from the 90s.
Yes. So and I know you've already seen this one, but I just can't do this podcast without doing it. It's kind of like the Clueless thing. I just can't. This is one of the movies I've seen 100 times. Like, I love this movie.
I'm trying to think what it's going to be. I'm trying to think what it's going to be. Oh, no.
You probably don't know that I love this movie, but
Okay.
I did. I've watched this so many times.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So it's the 1999 movie.
Oh, 99.
There's two movies in this era or this year that I love.
Okay.
They're both on my list. But so we're going to watch She's All That.
She's All That.
She's All That with the famous Freddie Prinze Jr., who a lot of people, for some reason, there was a rumor going around a couple years ago that he died.
I think most celebrities have like a moment in their career.
But this one was really big. Like,
Really?
I saw it everywhere. I'm like, what? He's not dead. He's still working. Like, I was so confused.
That's so funny.
But, yes, this is the Freddie Prinze Jr. movie, one of his most popular movies. Yeah, She's All That.
She's All That.
It's been in a lot of spoofs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, yes. Okay, I was trying to remember for a second.
Yes, you know this movie.
Oh, yes.
But I just love this movie.
This is going to be a fun one, y'all.
Yeah. When I think of late 90s, I think of this movie. And another one that we may not add to the list, but I don't know. We'll see. Just because I know we've watched it a million
And then, like,
times.
right after that, because it was a big spoof that Not Another Teen movie came out.
So what's
right
the other
after
movie
that
in
one.
1999 that you think I'm thinking of?
Bring It On?
No,
Does that bring it
that
up?
was 2000.
2000. I was
Close,
close.
yeah.
I was close. I don't know.
10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Okay.
So
We've
that one's
talked
probably
about
a
that one.
lot higher than She's All That, but you've seen that a lot because I know that's
I've seen
your
that one
sister's
couple-
favorite
yeah.
movie.
I think I've seen She's All That. I know I've seen Not Another Teen Movie, probably.
I
The
don't think
spoof
I've
on
seen
that.
it.
But I think I've seen the spoof on that more. At least there's some of those scenes from that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah,
All
but-
right. That's going to be a fun episode.
I know you're not going to like it, and I know you're going to cringe the entire time, and I'm excited because you made me sit through this movie.
Fair. That's so fair.
So you gave me weird, I'm giving you cringe.
I know. This is going to be interesting to see how this movie has aged. This
Yeah.
probably has not aged well. It's probably one of those
You
movies.
don't think? I think it would. I think more people would probably sign on to it
I don't
later.
know. I don't know. There's a lot of parts that I don't know. I don't remember. But there's those type of movies. These teen movies.
Oh, you're talking about She's All That. Okay, I thought you were talking about Mad Max. I'm sorry.
Oh
I
no,
got
no.
off.
I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, like Clueless. That was one of the ones I don't.
Some
think.
things just don't. Teen movies from like the 80s and 90s, like some of that stuff has not aged well, and so I'll be curious when we find some of these moments. We'll have to like do a list of what didn't age well.
Yeah, we might have to watch this with my daughter. I don't know. I might have to screen it first. This is one of the ones that I've wanted her to see. I was probably about her age when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1999. Yeah, I was her age. I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
I was probably like 8th or 9th grade. But anyways, we'll get into it in the next episode. Y'all have to stay tuned to listen.
Stay tuned, folks. It's going to be a fantastic one.
Glad you're so excited.
I'm excited about
No
the podcast.
sarcasm as well.
I'm excited about the podcast episode. I'm not,
okay.
not as much about the movie itself.
Okay, fair.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. We try to do things different, try to keep it fresh and fun.
Yeah,
I
let
hope
us know how
works
you like
out.
it.
Tell us how you like it.
We'll bring
We
on some
appreciate
more guests.
it. Yeah. Maybe we have to bring our sister on too because she's a loyal listener as well. Then she'll find a movie she likes. She'll probably do 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, she probably would.
She'd
Yeah.
love that one.
Yeah.
But anyways.
And we can actually have her in person.
Yeah, that's true too.
She lives in our city.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you're giving us our 5-star ratings, like and subscribe, all that jazz.
Follow us on social media.
Yep.
On TikTok now.
TikTok now, yeah. Great. All right, guys. Y'all see y'all on the next episode.
All right, bye guys.